That Don't Sound Right is a podcast about talking the way we did before the internet, when you could not prove anyone right or wrong.
All the expertise was contained in the people involved with the conversation. I'm Peter.
I'm Cecil, and I hope you enjoy our conversations. And as you listen, if you find yourself silently saying, that don't sound right, send us a comment. You're one of us.
We've both acknowledged that the conversation has run its course.
Right.
We don't know what's going on.
Right.
We've done our best guesses.
Yeah.
Let's find out. Welcome back to another episode of That Don't Sound Right, a podcast about talking. We're your co-hosts. I'm Peter Billman.
I'm Cecil Davis.
And we're just trying to have a conversation without Googling or fact-checking each other online. Those things can so easily kill the conversation.
So, you killed the conversation recently?
I haven't, but I still get people asking me permission now to Google things.
I've gotten that too.
And of course, and usually, but we've both acknowledged that the conversation has run its course.
Right.
We don't know what's going on.
Right.
We've done our best guesses.
Yeah.
Let's find out. And then I find that the conversation goes on a little bit because then you have that aha moment because one person was right and the other person was wrong, or you both were wrong. Like, oh, that's what that means, or that's what I remember that from.
Well, I think I may have used this earlier, but I'll use it again. I was in a discussion one time about the song Pressure.
Yeah. Okay.
And so I said David Bowie sang it. Someone else said Freddie Mercury sang it. And turns out they both sang it. They're both
right. That's a great example.
So we were both right.
But you weren't answering the question, who sung it first?
Right. No. Well, I think they both sang it on the same album. They were both on the same song. See, look, you're looking at me.
No, what? That don't sound right. But anyways, they both sang it on the same album?
Oh, the same.
Whose album was it?
Together. I don't know.
Whose album did it come out on?
There's a lot of questions now. But
I feel like it came out on.
Yeah, probably people right now are looking this up because they're like,
well, before you do it, ask somebody next to you.
Yeah.
Ask somebody next to you.
Ask them next to you, who do you think sang Pressure?
And who sang it first and on whose album? Yeah,
we're for the good use of Google.
Yes.
This is probably a little bit of a springing this on you topic.
Well, we like these.
Yeah.
We like these.
So I don't know if you know this, but in Sherwood, there's a house with a bomb shelter.
What?
Yeah, when we were
around here?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, when we were...
not a tornado shelter.
Not a tornado shelter, but a bomb shelter.
I guess a tornado shelter would be less... It would even be more unbelievable.
Right.
The amount of twisters we get around.
Right. Yeah, we're not in twister territory. But when we were looking for houses in Sherwood, there was a house in here that had a bomb shelter built into it.
Where was the bomb shelter? Was it?
It's in the basement.
Okay.
But it was fairly substantial.
Really?
Yeah.
How big was it?
Not big. Not big.
How many people could fit in there?
I would say probably 4 comfortably.
Were there enough for people to sit, like a seating area?
Yeah, like a seating area. It would be tight sleeping quarters.
So it was kind of like the size of a small bedroom?
Yeah. Yeah, it wasn't like one of these real fancy ones.
What made it substantial?
Oh, it was concrete den. I mean, it was thick concrete.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, it was the real deal.
And then I guess it had a concrete ceiling?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think so.
And how did they breathe?
Don't remember. I didn't look at that close. We were looking at the house, and I wanted to spend more time looking at the bomb shelter, but we were moving through the house. They were like, here's this kind of weird room. But it was, What
was the door? Did you notice the door? Certainly the door
was missing.
Ah.
The door was missing.
That is worthless.
Yeah, it's worthless.
You need a steel. That's probably the most impressive part was, what's the door made?
Where's the door? Where was it?
Where was the door?
So, and actually this isn't as quite as unusual, but there was a house that we went to had a pool inside, one of those exercise pools.
Yeah.
But downstairs, like in their basement, they had built up an area for an exercise pool.
No kidding.
Had a current, yeah. It's always fascinating what you find in people's houses when you go start looking at houses.
Yeah, I never find these houses. Yeah. I never find these.
We looked at a house one time that the occupant in one of the bedrooms was a gold medalist. They had their gold medal hanging in the.
Do you know what for?
It was for skiing. Yeah, it was for We were in Asheville at the time. So
still.
Yeah.
You're just skiing in Asheville.
Yeah, well,
right. There's really no skiing in Asheville.
You're right. There's no skiing in Asheville.
Well, I guess there's Kibler Valley. Isn't there a little ski area right there?
Yes, I don't know where.
I'm not sure you could develop the gold medal skills that you need.
Yeah, had a whole old friend of mine here, I think, found the patent. And this may really not sound right. Well, maybe. I think the guy that owned the house before him had the patent for Teflon-like substance or something. But anyways, I think he found the patent in the house.
Really? Maybe he could answer the question, how do you get Teflon to stick to metal?
Yeah.
Since nothing else sticks to it.
Nothing sticks to it. Yeah, but he found something like that in the house, like unusual, where the person was an inventor.
So you found this bomb shelter.
Right. So the bomb shelter is what we're really talking about.
Was that a kind of like a unique selling point that they're trying to...
For me, it was. I wanted the house. I almost bought the house just for that, because that would have been super cool. A bomb shelter.
Yes, but you probably had to spend $3,000 on the door.
On the door, yeah.
I would have put that in the contract.
Yeah, you had to replace the door.
Yeah, I need the door. And it needs to withstand. I would put the specs.
Big concrete door. Yeah, but anyways, that made me think. Yeah, so the bomb shelter's on target for what I'm going to talk about tonight.
Was it stocked?
No.
No cans of goods.
Right. So now you're going toward what I'm getting ready to ask you about.
Water jugs.
And this is a thing that doesn't sound right. So have you ever made a purchase with the end of the world in mind, or a catastrophe, or some, like hurricane, flood?
This is more than
year 2000.
This is more than the milk, eggs, and bread before a snowstorm.
Yeah, more than that. Like, have you ever bought something with the intent of survival?
I wonder if our listeners in other parts of the country and the world are familiar with the phenomena that happens, at least here in the Southeast,
right,
prior to a snowstorm. That being, prior to a snowstorm, several things happen. First of all, we start spraying salt water on the roads.
Yes.
The second thing that happens, people just drive off the roads and wreck before the snow even comes.
Yes.
And the third thing is, before they wreck, they've made their way to the grocery store and they've bought up all the eggs, milk, and bread.
Yes.
Because there's this sense that in a snowstorm, it'll turn into ice storm here in the Southeast. We're going to lose our power and we're going to eat raw eggs, milk, and bread for our meals.
It really is a phenomenon about the bread, where you go in and all the bread's gone up before a snowstorm.
Well, it's I think in the Southeast, we just get a hankering for French toast. Right. That's what it is. It's a French toast storm.
So not that.
Okay. So
have you ever thinking, have you ever bought anything? I'm not talking about full blown prepper.
Yeah. Now, which there's nothing wrong with that.
I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it, but the full blown prepper, that's where you've got land and a water source and a fuel source and maybe tunnels connecting different hiding spots. So we're not talking about that.
Right.
I'm just saying, let's say, we'll use the year Y2K, year 2000. So that, if you weren't born at that point, but that was a big deal. Everybody thought planes were going to fall out of the sky.
And why is that?
Most computers had only been programmed to go to 1999, and they hadn't been programmed to flip. And so everybody thought that when they flipped, it was going to cause big trouble, and it didn't. I mean, there had to be some stuff done.
Well, and one of the big things was that when they were doing the computers to save memory, they only used the last two digits.
Yeah, that's right.
Here, right?
Yeah.
So what's going to happen is going to go from 99 to 0.
Right.
So what happens when you go from 99 to 0?
What throws off your calculation?
Planes crash.
Really?
Everyone's bank accounts go to 0. I mean, that was the fear. That was the fear.
That was the fear. And so everybody thought it was going to be chaos. And so some people stocked up on the basics.
Yeah. I'm trying to think. I don't know. I will say I heard some people close to me, they did stock up on water, and they stocked up on a lot of water and they stuck it.
Yeah.
And these are people close to me, and I paused. It's like, what? Should I be doing something?
There's been
because the water treatment plants are going to shut down.
Yeah. There was going to be chaos. Actually, nothing happened in Y2K.
Except for at the party I was at. I told you about this story, right?
Oh. Well, no, you hadn't told me about this. You told me, but you hadn't told me on there.
So we were at this party. It was a Y2K party. Yeah. And so we're getting close to
midnight.
So I sneak as an engineer would, I found the circuit breaker to the house. And when it hit 2000, killed the lights to the entire house.
Did everybody freak out? Is everybody scared?
It got quiet.
I bet.
And then I turned it back on.
So I think it may have been Y2K. It was either that or a big storm. I did make purchases of buying water. I have stocked up on water a couple times.
For storms, though, but not for...
For storms, primarily.
Like, what other events have we been around for that would cause us to do something like that? I mean, Y2K is one of them.
Yeah.
What about any other events, like this last solar eclipse?
That wouldn't make me do it. I would do it I guess preppers do it thinking that something cataclysmic is going to happen. Either the financial system's going to collapse or we're going to be invaded.
Right. Or a pandemic.
Or a pandemic. Yeah, so the pandemic hit. And actually, there was a shortage of toilet paper.
And I did.
Yeah. Did you stock up on toilet paper?
I did not. I never stocked up, but I did make some early morning runs and got in line to make sure I got some to stay ahead of the curve.
We thankfully were able to stay ahead of the curve on that. But, everywhere ran out of hand sanitizer.
Right. What did you do?
Well, I knew how to make hand sanitizer.
What?
Because it's just alcohol and...
This is my pharmacist. Go. Let's hear some chemistry.
Yeah. So basically...
All right, let's give us a lesson.
It's just alcohol and you just need a vehicle for it. And so you could buy aloe gel.
Okay.
And mix the alcohol and the aloe gel together. And
but rubbing alcohol was hard to find.
Well, that's the thing is there was enough people that knew that you couldn't get the ingredients for it pretty quickly. The hand sanitizer was gone, aloe gel was gone, and the isopropyl alcohol.
So what'd you do?
Well, I managed to get some occasionally here and there, but you can also use Everclear. Like a lot of people used grain alcohol.
Oh yeah. Well, where do you get grain alcohol?
Well, you can get it from a distillery. Or you get it from ABC.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we have a local distillery. It's easy for you to say. Distillery, Broad Branch.
Yeah.
And we've had, I had a bottle of their rum. Very good. You've had some. You enjoyed it.
Yeah.
You don't remember it, but you enjoyed it. But they use the heads and the tails.
Right.
And they bottled it.
Yeah.
And they sold little spray bottles of hand sanitizer. Yeah. And I took it to work. And
it smells like alcohol.
It smells like whiskey.
Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah.
It really is nice.
Yeah, I had a couple bottles from different distilleries. Yeah.
So anyway,
my question for you is, have you ever done that? Have you ever bought...
I'm trying to think.
Have you ever bought anything specifically for the zombie apocalypse?
Yeah, that's the other event, right? Some turning people... And I'm trying to think if I've ever done that. I know I daydream about it for some reason.
Do you really?
About as much as the Roman Empire.
Huh.
I daydream about that thing. I mean, I daydream about having some land, and I won't tell you where because I don't want people.
Trust me.
Well, it's not you. It's the thousands of listeners right now. I don't want them. But a buddy of mine, we've always kind of daydreamed about having a parcel of land and somewhere not too far from here in the mountains where we could take our families to
in case of emergency.
He actually, this friend of mine, he lives in the DC area and he has a bug out bag. Do you have a bug out bag?
I do not have a bug out bag.
Do you know what a bug out bag is?
I do, but tell our listeners what a bug out bag is.
So bug out bags are a very interesting concept. It's basically something happens, let's say a dirty bomb goes off in your city and a dirty bomb goes off spreading radiation and basically everyone's got to get out. You got to get out of there or you're going to get irradiated and may not be able to leave. You're going to get sick and die.
Right.
So a bug out bag is you've got 5 minutes to leave.
Right.
You've got 5 minutes to leave.
Yeah.
This is the bag you grab and you leave with it. And it's got everything you need. Not everything, but it's got the essentials you need to survive.
Right. Yeah. I don't have a bug out bag. Now, I used to carry enough stuff in my car that would qualify slightly for a bug out bag.
Is this kind of like a survival kit in case you drive off of a cliff? But
no, I just had like maybe a change of clothes, boots.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, just in the back of my car during college. But that was not as much for survival, but just in case I'm went off hiking on a whim.
So you got interviewed for a park ranger job. You get suit up.
But that's why I would carry that. But yeah, I don't have a bug out bag. I've thought about creating one though.
Yeah, me too. Well, I used to keep my backpack fully packed. I was ready to go in a moment's notice, but that was just more for fun.
Yeah.
Hey, Pete, you want to go backpacking? Yes, let me grab some food. I'm ready to go.
Yeah.
Because it can take some time.
Yeah, so I think the only purchases I've made like that are water, and we stocked up on rice one time. I forget what was getting ready to happen.
Were you at Costco when you did this?
No, I forget why we did that. We had some extra rice for a while.
That's a lot of rice. Did you buy a 50-pound bag?
No, it wasn't 50 pounds, just some.
It was in the form of a sack?
No, it wasn't like a sack. It was like a lot, but whatever caused us to do that, we ate the rice. Yeah, the only other purchase I can really think of is I have a generator now, but that's more for storms. That's
so you can make a French toast.
Not so I can survive a nuclear holocaust.
No, that won't get you there.
Yeah. Yeah, you'd have to have the bomb. I'd have to buy the house with the bomb shelter.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, that bomb shelter. Well, I'm sure they cleaned the bomb shelter up for showing. But if they really wanted to, they really should have staged the bomb shelter.
Oh, yeah, they should have.
I mean, it should have.
There.
Yeah, well, I mean, if it's for a family of four, or, it should be outfitted for a family of four.
Right.
It has the food on the shelves. It's got the water. It's got the transistor radio. Yep. It's got everything. That was a real miss, I think, on the
film. It was a miss. I liked it the way it was.
Yeah.
The only other thing I've thought that gets a little preppy is I thought about drilling a well.
Yes. And you have an artesian well here now.
There's an artesian well.
Or an artesian spring.
In the back of the property that one of my neighbors that grew up here told me about.
I have a well on my property.
Do you?
Yeah. In fact, I learned that my neighbor used to use the water from it. It was the well for the two houses.
Oh, really?
And obviously when they hooked up city water, I think the rule is with the law, you're supposed to cap it off.
Really?
But I still have this huge pump in my basement.
Really?
I mean, this thing is massively, I need to cut it out. I mean, it's massively solid. Cast iron pump, big, heavy, pressurized tank. And it taps right into the wall and goes underground and it goes out to where the well is. And the well is capped off in my backyard. But like you, I've always thought about maybe I should reactivate that thing.
Could you pump from it?
I don't see why I couldn't. I mean,
you're halfway there.
It probably is, sediment is probably built up and filled it up. It's probably no good. But you're right. I mean, it's pretty interesting to think about.
Yeah, that's the only thing I've really thought about is just having a well. But really, these are just pieces of it. I mean, to really survive something, you'd have to have water, you'd have to have fuel, you'd have to have shelter, you'd have to hope that this society didn't break down around you.
And come after you, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, just having a, I've seen these at Walmart. You can buy, is it like a 30-day supply of freeze-dried food?
Yeah.
Have you seen these big plastic boxes, tubs?
Yeah.
It's 120 meals or something like that.
Some of this stuff is just wishful thinking.
Well, look, you can't do this halfway. Right. You can't just say, all right, I think I'm going to prep and buy some water and, a couple snacks.
Right.
That's not going to,
that's a bug out bag.
That's a bug out bag. You need to have some cash on hand and some gold bullion because when the currency collapses, really the only thing that's going to work is gold.
I did hear someone who was stockpiling whiskey because she thought that the currency, when the economy collapsed, would be whiskey. I was like, that's brilliant.
That's how this podcast got started.
What's that?
Well, you and I were talking about different things. Yeah. And I said, it was right after the pandemic. And I was saying, one of the things, my job hours have been cut, so I had some extra time. And I said, there's 3 things I wanted to learn how to do as a result of this pandemic. Mm. I wanted to learn and be good at splitting wood.
Right.
So I could have firewood for warmth.
Right.
I wanted to figure out and learn how to make and bake bread without yeast, because there was no yeast to be found.
Right.
And I eventually figured out how to do it, but I burned through so much flour, it wasn't even worth it. And the third thing I really wish I could have learned how to do is distill my own liquor, because I believed, like your friend, that was going to be the currency.
It has been currency in the past.
That was going to be the currency. And think about how much some of these bottles we enjoy, how much they cost.
Yeah.
And that would just go up if the society collapsed.
Yeah.
But anyway, how this podcast got started, you said, "Oh yeah, we should do that." And I said, "Well, you can't because it's illegal." And you said, "No, I don't think it's illegal."
That is true. That is how this.
And that's how exactly we just went back and forth, back and forth, back and forth.
Yeah.
And Christy said, "Y'all just need to record this and put it on a
And
podcast." And here we are.
Yep.
20,000 downloads later.
I know.
Maybe
this episode may be the one that puts us over.
Maybe everyone
when you hear this episode.
Maybe we only need people to tell 2 friends now.
All right. Well, if you've bought something on the prepper side of things or to survive, write us and tell us what it was.
Yeah, let us know. I'm curious to say here if people went all in.
Yeah, and keep this on the lighter side. We're not.
Yeah, there's plenty of other things you could buy to prep, but we don't need to know how you're going to protect yourself.
Yeah, we're looking for the happy side of prepping.
Hey, you can send it to me. I'm not. It's all right. You can send it to us. That's fine.
It don't sound right, but you have come to the end of That Don't Sound Right.
Hey, before we close, we want to thank everyone for listening. If this is your first time enjoying the conversation, would you consider hitting the subscribe button on the platform you listen with? Also, if you're a longtime listener, please give us a rating, leave us a review so others can find us and easily join the conversation.
All right, That Don't Sound Right is a production of TDSR Podcast in conjunction with Camel City Studios. I am your co-host and sound engineer, Cecil. Peter is your other host and web designer. Camille is your barista. Emily does your graphic design. Ella does your Instagram. Giorgio tests our merchandise. And Brent is our international brand ambassador. And as always, listener one is
Scott.
So until next week, keep talking.
And stay curious.